Hey, Shick here again. We're ready to try and make a rhombus tessellation. These are the materials that you are going to need handy. You'll need just one of these guys. I gave you two of them in the pack that I sent home, but you'll just need one of these. You'll need some scissors to do some cutting. You'll need some tape to tape whatever you cut out on. The thing you should note here is that the rhombus tessellation, this is easier to do, is this is only half of the rhombus right here. What we're going to do is after we alter it, the thing that we trace, it will trace one side over here on the lines. I added these lines on this particular one because this is a difficult one to trace, but we can do this really well as long as we do this one first and this one second. As long as we do that correct, first and second, this is going to work out pretty good. When we alter the sides of the rhombus, what we're going to do is we cut out of side number 1 and we attach it here to side number 2. We don't touch the middle of the shape at all. We're just going to alter these. We trace one half of the shape, then we flip it over and trace the other half of the shape. You will find that the less you cut out, the better on this particular rhombus. If you cut out too much, it gets a little bit crazy. I'm going to cut out a side 1 right here. Actually, I think I'll cut out a side 2 and then tape it onto 1. I'm going to make sure I cut that little line off. These other lines that are on here really aren't much help of any sort. I'm going to try something. I'm going to go cut down that way a little bit, make a little slit. Then I'm going to cut up and back a little bit. And then I'm going to cut sort of in there. So I took a chunk out. This has got a little bit of an arrow on it sort of thing. Whatever we cut out of 1 or 2, we rotate it around. I think that's about a 120-degree angle. And I'm going to line up those 2 lines right there when I tape this bad boy on, just like that. As always, the little piece of tape, it's better to tape it onto the little one first. You'll have more control of what you are doing. Taping on the little one, and then we attach that to the bigger one. The line that we cut out, when I want to line up with the line on there, that looks pretty good. I'm going to come over here, add another little piece of tape to give it some security on the front and the back. I try not to have my tape go off the edges over here. It'll mess with my tracing. Just like so. Now I have half of the rhombus shape that's going to go in here. I got a little piece of tape right there. I'm going to cut that little guy out. I don't want that to mess with that little. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now I've got the shape. When I go to trace this, as I said, we're going to do 1 and 2 first. It's always a good idea. I'm going to trace just the outside over here on the left. I'm going to do it in a pretty heavy marker so that it shows up fairly well. So let's see, line up those dots. All we're doing is we're going to trace there. And then we're going to come down here and trace the bottom half of it. Just like this. There's one half. I traced that side. And then I'm going to take this, I'm going to flip it over so the numbers are away and trace the other half like so. So the rhombus, we only really work with half of it at a time. Come down, go back up, down, 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 down. And there is one half. I don't know what that is. I really don't. It sort of looks like ears and a nose and a face of some sort of an animal. After I trace one, you need to come down and trace this one right here down below. You'll notice that it's going to look a lot like the one above it. It should be identical because, you know, it's a tessellation. It's a congruent shape, just like this. And do the bottom half. Then you have to flip it over. If you get these first 2 tracings, it makes the rest of this go much smoother, much smoother. There we go. There's my first 2. Now when you start doing the others, let's see, this guy right here is going to fit just like that. On the other side, it's got to be flipped. It's going to go like that. The one right here, you can see this guy is going to fit right there. Again, as always, don't try and line up the lines. Just line up the original corners with the dots, you know, and then you only have to trace half of it. Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, you only have to trace half of it. This guy right here is already half done. And so let's see, how's that going to go? That goes there. So this guy goes like this. Once you have one half of it done, you will only need to trace. Going to make sure I line up the corner dot right here. Always important. Line up the dots. Do this half down here. Whoops, kind of slid around on me a little bit. That's all right. It's no big deal. We just make sure we line up the corner dots. And then we can get the rest. There we go. And it'll tessellate all throughout the shape. You'll fill the whole page, as always, if you want to try and keep going beyond that. So let's see, what would go there? This guy is going to go like this, working out to the edge of the page there. You can fill in the whole page. It's worth an extra credit point if you want. If you want to try and do your artwork on the side without the lines, you're welcome to do that as well. That is worth another bonus point. But that is the rhombus tessellation. Remember the rhombus tessellation? You only work with half of the shape, and then you got to flip it to do the other half of the tracings. And start by doing these two first. That will make the rest of this work a lot better. All right, enjoy there, folks.